Hey, everybody. Welcome to the PD podcast, special edition, adding video now to this conversation. And I couldn't think of a better person to run this pioneer episode with than my longtime friend, Daniel Santos, who spent time helping create and craft great media and visual images here. Now serving as a creative at Saddleback, one of the largest and fastest growing churches. People don't realize how much influence and how much leadership capital they have because Rick, your senior pastor, and my former boss.
That's right.
Your boss.
You were just there a few months ago?
18 months ago. Yeah.
18 few.
The things that he puts out there for the public to take and digest and for leaders to consume and to deploy in their own ministries, people don't realize so much of that has come directly out of Saddleback in the ministry there. And we came together and man, the Lord has done so much stuff in your world. The reason why I wanted to bring you back to the podcast is to hear, what are some of the things that you've been learning as a creative? Because I'm thinking this episode is going to tune the ears of several people who see themselves as creative, as creators, as content creators, people who have a unique eye to tell stories, to capture an image or a series of images. What are some of the things as you've stepped into a much larger ministry that has much wider impact of influence that would be beneficial for this conversation with this audience, in your opinion?
Sure. In my opinion, just be open, be flexible, say yes to stuff. I know all last year on my Instagram, a lot of the message that I kept telling the viewers or anybody that would, go on my Instagram was,
your audience. Yeah.
My audience would be just to say yes to stuff, just to say yes to opportunities, say yes to passion, to calling, to things that kind of oh, that makes me think this, or, oh, that makes me feel like that. Go to that, do more of that. And
when you were considering things you'd say yes to, did you always have that posture? Were you trying to be much more selective? I mean, was that like a shift in your paradigm? Or had you been saying yes to crazy things forever? And as you continued to say yes, did you find yourself aligning with bigger and greater opportunities?
I think that in the beginning, it was just saying yes to anything, whether it was creative or not creative, whether it was, hey, we need help at 21, I was a camp counselor over in Hamul. They needed help, and they said, hey, we need a counselor. If you're down, it's just, the summertime. It was different at the time because it was hey, you actually have to pay them for you to be there. Are you down?
It actually cost you something to be involved.
Yeah. And so obviously that price I paid for, for housing, for food and stuff like that. But the outcome of that after year one was so good. And I spent 3 months just out in the desert, just hanging out with kids, you know what I mean? Just kind of looking after them. And then after year one, I was like, man, that was so rad. I could do this again, I think. And so that sort of ignited something in me, I think, from way back in my youth that ultimately led me to where I am now. I think that was
that's good. It's a posture of saying yes to stuff, even if it costs you something personally.
Yeah. And then just along the way, you begin to kind of land in the right places, or not, I don't want to say land in the right places, but God will definitely bring you into the right spaces and to where he needs you to be. I think he really looks at your heart. He really looks at your character, and he sees hey, that's enough. I like that. Let's see what we can do with this.
Let's move that to a little bit bigger pool or some deeper waters. I got a great question for you. As you were saying yes, how did you find yourself preserving time, right? Because when you say yes to everything, you can lose your personal space, your personal margin.
I think it was different at the time because I wasn't dating, I wasn't married, I wasn't there's more now that I have to lose. Versus then I was single, dating, but kind of toying with it and stuff. And it was just a lot easier to say yes to stuff because there wasn't really anything sort of holding me or sort of drag me in a different direction. So being able to say yes to all those things, I think over time it became more of hey, like now I have a girlfriend that I'm really
Right, you're
looking
kind of measuring
as.
the more valuable opportunities.
So really, my time that I had, I love to spend it in those spaces. And then even when I was here at Torrey Pines, it was like on my days off, maybe you remember, where I would be in here, I would just be in the office, just working. I used to work out of Mingo's office. And so I would just come in and just make stuff and make videos. Yeah, be available. That's something I learned from a book by Bob Goff called Love Does, where he puts his number into his book and he's just like, hey, call me, shoot me a text, like whatever. And then recently I read a book by Jeff, I don't remember his last name. He's a pastor over at Gwinnett Church.
Yes.
Maybe you have more information on that. But anyway, he did the same thing. He put his phone number.
The book was Know what you're for.
Yeah. So he put his number, and I'm like, you know what? What am I going to lose? I shot him a text, and he replied, and he invited me to come out.
Good.
He invited me to come out in April to his church because they're having a conference. And he was just
awesome.
like, hey, Daniel, like, thank you for hitting me up. And it's just...
And it was not a bot.
No. I don't know, maybe.
Beep, boop, bop. Daniel, great to meet you.
I had a,
Click on all the stop signs.
But just doing those, like, just doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, do stuff that makes you feel alive and things that make you...
In the progression of you getting greater opportunities, did you ever wrestle with disappointment?
Oh, every day, because it was like, I'm putting me out there. I'm putting my work, my art, a little bit of me, out there for the whole world, especially on Instagram, which I think I see Instagram as like a huge tool to teach you to let go of that. Like, oh, like they don't like my thing.
The more you put it out there, the more you're training yourself to care less about what others think, or you're tuning how you should care.
Although it's nice to it's nice to go on your Instagram and be like, oh, sick, 100
comments,
likes on a picture.
All that. Yeah.
Right? There's this liberty of letting go of that like anxiety of, oh no, like, do they like it? Like, dude, who cares if they like it? Just put it out there. Like,
good. It's great advice.
Put your stuff out there as much as you can, because like, what's the point of taking 100 pictures and you only like one, and then you put that one? Like, post everything out there.
That's good. As you have stepped into a much more influential circle, right? That Saddleback reaches tens of thousands of people. Every time you tell a story, there are thousands of eyes, reading it, being inspired by it. What are some of the things you're seeing on this side in this season, maybe that you would have told the younger version of you when you were just getting started, right? What would Daniel today tell Daniel 8, 9, 10 months ago?
Oh, geez. Like, stepping out of the creative mentality, it's just being open and available to God, being open and available to Jesus, because you don't know where he's going to take you in a year, in 2 years, in a month, in 3 months. June was when you invited me to go take the pictures at PDC. And then 3 months after that, I was doing contract work. And then 3 months after that, we were having convos of, hey, I think there's a potential thing. Yeah. And now we're right in the middle of February, and it's, hey, dude, I'm running like 100 miles per hour in this direction. Yeah. And I never in my life ever imagined me being where I am with who I get to do this with. And it's just be available to God, be keen on the Spirit, on like, hey, be still, God tells us to be still and know that he is God. And that's something that I wish I started doing years ago. 21, where I was like, oh, this is sick, do more of this. It was like somewhere along the way, I just kind of kept getting lost, and Jesus was like, hey, it's okay. Like, come back. Like, hey, like, it's okay.
It's good. It sounds like as a creator, you've understood as you stepped into more and more serious versions of creation that one of the greatest values is to spend time with your own creator.
Yes. Oh, man. Yes, every morning, or most mornings, my wife and I have like a morning devotional by the fireside, and so we'll start up the fire and we'll just read a book. We're going through a 1 year devotional, and so we read together. We ask these questions, and we just spend an hour. And honestly, it completely sets up the day. Like just the day, not the week, not the month,
Right,
not the rest of the year, but just the day you enter into your day very early in the morning with this mentality of like, how can I love other people better? How can I serve other people better? Not just a super generic, like, love on people. No. It's, hey, like, what is your pain?
Very good.
Like, what do you need?
The specificity.
Exactly. And that's something that has been a huge win for the both of us.
What's a common trap that you see creatives fall into when they're trying to make a life or a career out of being creative? Any traps that you felt you fell into, or any traps that you've seen others fall into that you've helped them come out of?
I tried to go freelance for a while and it was super hard. I couldn't do it. It wasn't for me. I know some people that can and they do it and they're running hard with it and they're just so good at it. What I experienced was that if they don't like what I'm doing, why am I doing this? Like, should I keep doing this? Like, you know, you deliver your assets and then they're like, hey, this isn't what we thought. This isn't what we had in mind. Like, okay, well, this, like, you saw my work. I directed you to Instagram. Yeah. You know,
you made a decision to engage me based on what you've seen.
Yeah. And you said, yes, we met and then you still had the option of saying no, but you still said yes. So now we're at the end. Here's the stuff. And they said, I don't like this. Like, can we do something? Like, no, we just spent hours and I spent nights like late
not
awake,
by the fireside
in the cold kitchen, you know, in the dining room, grinding away, making a video, making the pictures or whatever.
So
curating.
What are you suggesting then? Is it like freelance is not the best pathway?
Not that it's not the best pathway, but just keep going.
If you don't see success in one
it's not going to happen
lane.
Right away. It's not going to happen over time. It took me 10 years to get to where I am today. And even now where I am, I still feel like I'm just barely touching the iceberg.
You've got miles to go.
Yeah, where people are like, oh, dude, like Saddleback's so good. Like, dude, like you made it. Like, no. Like, you don't understand. Like, I still feel like I'm barely beginning.
That's great. I love it. That perspective of not yet arriving, I think, is one of the consistent threads I hear in some of the most successful people is that they don't see themselves as having arrived. They're constantly pushing forward for what might be ahead. Yeah. Any closing thoughts in this great conversation? I appreciate you taking time just to go backwards in time in your own story, but closing thoughts, any suggestions or word of advice to any of our listeners aimed uniquely at leaders and creativity?
Leaders and creativity. Meet with people, gather with people, ask people for coffee, ask them to coffee, get as much wisdom from other people that have been there before you, that have done the grunt work for you to just like cruise on over the road that they spent years laboring over. Meet with them, talk to people, get wisdom. Honestly, like just meet with people, spend time with them. Even it could be an email, a text, a call, like whatever it is, just be like, hey, like I would love to meet. I'd like to get coffee and just have you like pour wisdom on me. Like every other week I meet with this amazing creative. I think you introduced us actually. His name is Andrew. And we talk and he just pours into me and it's so good. It's just so good because I see he's just really good at what he does. Yeah. I'm like, I like that. I recognize that you're way better than I am. Yeah. I want to learn from you.
And you're pursuing him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be the other way around. Right. I think that if that's something really that you want, whether it's leadership or whether it's more creative stuff, it's you got to pursue it.
You got to be proactive.
You got to chase it.
Yeah.
Jesus chases after us.
Yeah.
So like why who are we to be like, oh well, the good people are going to come after me. Like no, dude, like you got to go after them. Like you got to hit them up, like drop them a DM.
Yeah, there's a diligence in being ready and faithful and committed to the thing that you can wrap your hands around so that when somebody does recognize great talent, you're ready to be scooped up. Yeah. You're ready to be met. You're ready to be poured into. Yeah. If somebody wants to follow your story, how do they do that?
They can hit me up on Instagram at Daniel _____. 5 underscores because 1 through 4 were taken. Shout out to the other Daniel. Santos is 1 to 4, 5 underscores Santos. or I'm iffy on this.
No, you're going to do it.
Okay.
You're going to do it.
If you want to reach out to me, hit me up. 619-415-5850. Shoot me a text. Don't call me because I won't answer, but shoot me a text. Say hi. Let's get coffee. Easy.
I love it. Way to perpetuate the thing that inspired you most.
Yeah.
You're about to do it for somebody else.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for tuning in. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Sick.